Just get started. I think be brave and don't worry about, just actually start talking to a group of people in hard to recruit areas and just start creating content with them. Could be as simple as a Zoom call. Do it next Wednesday and then cut up the content and put it out there. Just start with something. Empple Festival's fantastic. The hospitality's been brilliant. The city's great. The discussion's been great as well, and also great lunch as well. So tick, tick, tick. Everything's great.
So I think we've come to this conclusion that we already know firsthand. I would say is that sometimes it can be the first step and sometimes it can be the last one, but there is no universal answer. So I think if you have a good employer branding strategy, it can be what is your last step and what speaks for your own strategy that you've been building. But if you are a small company or a startup, a job ad is like a blank canvas, and you can actually use it to tell more about your company and other things that we talked about during our sessions, such as remote work or benefits or whatever candidates find really important for them to apply. So there is no answer, but you can decide what it's going to be depending on what type of company you are. Well, as I was telling you guys throughout these 2 days, it brings the community together, which I think is really important for the experience sharing and knowledge sharing and so on. And hopefully you guys, we will see you, thriving and shining throughout the many years that we have upon us. But the most important thing is that the atmosphere is really relaxed and easygoing, and I feel like I'm at home because this community is so open. So thank you.
In my session, we talked many different aspects of this question, but I think the biggest point we covered was all the barriers you have, like bunch of administration, like how does everybody else perceive you when you're doing HR, and then we worked on how to overcome these perceptions, like how do you explain to senior management that what you're doing is creative and therefore how it needs to be managed differently than anything else. Sharing experiences is important because the market is so diverse that each of us working in different companies actually is doing a completely different job. And only when we meet each other in places like this can we share and learn how to overcome the problems, not that we already solved, but the ones that are coming.
Yeah, I think the basis of it is to have a really good coherent team. So that's the first thing. In order to do that, you need to build trust and openness and good relations within the team. So I think starting with playing games and getting people to bond in the really kind of unusual ways, getting them outside of their comfort zone for a little bit, so that they can actually show a piece of their nature to others. And then once they're going to connect it, I think that's the basis for absolutely everything else. It's interesting. Employer branding is not my field of expertise, so I can't talk about it too much. But I do believe, when it comes to remote work, I think that is going to become a bigger part of our reality, and something is going to be the norm. Maybe not fully remote, but definitely kind of the hybrid options. And I think the employer branding will need to move in that direction and go with the times. Whereas some of the things that will be offered for employees as a normal thing would be part of time, at least working from home or having some kind of arrangement that would allow them to have the flexibility that they need. I think the workforce is also becoming a little bit more demanding on that side, so I think that will be the direction in which they will go.
What we find normally is that people typically advocate the company more when they really feel a bond with the people in the organization. They really love the people that they work with. So if you can give them experiences and moments where they can spend time together as a team, as a tribe, be that these team offsites or other team events, then of course that bonds them. They have great pictures, great stories, and they often tend to advocate those moments as opposed to anything else. I've been super impressed by the Serbian people, first of all, here at the Empple Festival and indeed out and about. So warm, so friendly, so hospitable. They've taken really good care of me and all the speakers here. And the festival itself, people have been really open. They've wanted to learn, they've wanted to share, they've wanted to connect, and I hope to have the chance to come and do that again next year.
You have to try, because people people's mindset comes from, how they're initially feeling, and then how they're thinking, and then basically how they're working or actually behaving. So some things you cannot really change, but you can surely try. Well, one of the things that I said to all of you guys working for it, is that that's your energy, because you have a very specific homey atmosphere around everything that you're doing. And this is the first thing that I love. And it's about everything, branding, the vibe, the people. And I truly believe that this is something that we need, we need more often. Maybe once a year is not enough, but because we do need to meet up more often and talk about this topic.
Well, I think for last few years there's big problem on the market, not only Serbia but globally, with talent. Economy is too hot and too much activity, and there's big lack of talent, and that is a fact. And really, companies are having big problems with retaining employees, and companies are having big problem with attracting employees. And I think that's a big problem, but also super interesting times, because HR finally become super important, and all of the companies are planning to invest, how to retain talent, how to attract talent, and I think now it's golden time of HR, so super fun. I'm totally fascinated about event, because I like your energy of the whole team and the whole spirit of the conference. But the second, I think that we are lacking HR events. I'm originally from marketing industry, and there we have hundreds of events, big ones, small ones, but in HR we are lacking, and I think that we are lacking a place where you can come and learn something, exchange some knowledge, meet people, and I think this is a great place for that.
I would say it's quite challenging. It's fun to do. So as a major car manufacturer in Croatia, we do have a lot of jobs to offer to potential employees. Although it is a well-known brand, it's not a well-known company and organization. So this is why we have to make the extra effort to explain to the public what is it that we actually do, which positions we can offer, which type of departments we have. So that's why when we talk about employer branding, we try to be more focused on each department, to have a special strategy, to have different tactics on how to reach out to those employees. Well, I have to say I love it. This is something that the topic is really close to me and to what I do. And I think it's a great way to connect with other people in the other industries, to exchange experiences, lessons learned. We've seen a lot of case studies, we've seen a lot of panels, discussions, so I think it's great. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope to see you next year.
Super difficult within the company setting, depending on how big the organization is and what are they trying to achieve. But consciousness about the DNA of a person in the first place, and then the mission, vision, product, service, a company itself, defining that DNA is usually a very stressful and lengthy process. But there are mechanisms to kind of speed up and sort of rally people around something that's common to them and that's easier to relate to, and it's theirs. And so from that perspective, it's an interesting, nice project, but usually very difficult. Super interesting project. I think employer branding is a niche. It's a baby, it's an infant. Trying to develop into a field that has always existed but was never called that, and was never that important because the shortage of talent was never so obvious as it is today. The festival brings different people with different perspectives, and that's always good to nurture a topic and to have an opinion, to create an attitude to learn something new. And for as long as that's the sort of DNA of the festival, I think you guys are going to do really well.